Hello, everybody. Dear listener, hello. Welcome to Talking to Introverts podcast with myself, Sami Blackford, and my co-host and co-introvert, Denise Oliver, who will get a word in a moment. So let me just introduce myself. My name is Sami. My business is Sami Rainbow, and I am a brand and marketing coach for introverted women who don't want to be flogging themselves on social media just to get some sort of, engagement, if that's such a thing on social media anymore, and want to market their businesses in a much more effective way without being a fake extrovert. Then come have a chat. We can work it out. So, as I said, my co-host is Denise Oliver. What's your name and where do you come from?
Hi there, everyone. I'm Denise Oliver. My business name is Diva Empowerment, and I'm based in Chester. I love coaching women on their own personal empowerment, whatever that looks like for them. I particularly like working with the introverted woman who wants a slightly gentler approach when it comes to coaching. My speciality is with grief and loss, and if you've experienced any form of that, then I can help you. If it's bothering you, niggling you, overwhelming you, causing anxiety, stress, worry, fear in any way, shape or form, that's where I can help you out.
Lovely. So, as this podcast is coming out in the middle of December, the festive season is very much upon us by this time. We thought, why make hard work for ourselves where we can just talk about the obvious? So we're going to talk about Christmas, festivities, being here, there, and everywhere, socializing, all of that stuff as an introvert at Christmas. So Denise, oh goodness me, just thinking about it makes me exhausted. Denise, what's your opening gambit on this?
I love Christmas. I absolutely love it. As we're recording this, I've already got twinkly lights on and off in the house, looking to put up a lot more, obviously. I bought a beautiful poinsettia that sits on the coffee table now, and I'm hoping it lasts through the new year. I'm not that hopeful on that. I've already started looking at stocking up the freezer with Christmassy foods and things like that. Don't have children to look after, don't have grandchildren or anything like that. So Christmas is a little more subdued than it used to be, which I'm fine with as well. And the difference also is the weather's very different these days. You sometimes feel like you're already in spring when you hit Christmas. So we've adapted over the years, but I love a Christmas tree. I love the baubles, the tinsel. I do like to have decoration. When I was growing up, it was all those paper garlands strung across your ceiling and balloons and all of that. The dust, horrendous. Don't go in for that. But yeah, I do like a tree, and I do like to bring in, and this is like very old tradition, I do like to bring in greenery. I love holly and ivy. Oh, the ivy at the moment is spectacular in my garden. And anything else I can find that brings in the smell of nature into the home. We do have a wood burning stove, so it does dry out the greenery very quickly, unfortunately, because it gets very hot. But yeah, our traditions have changed over the years. We now go out for Christmas dinner because we're all grown-ups, and I don't want to be the one slaving over the hot stove. I just don't want to do that anymore. I've done all that, done it for years and years and years. And so we had a wonderful Christmas dinner out last year, and we've decided to repeat it this year. We had such a good time. And you do it differently, don't you?
Yeah, Christmas isn't a big thing for me. So, gosh, many years ago, probably 12 years, I'm going to say ago, my mum was very ill, kind of in autumn. She had an operation mid-September, and then well, I'll just tell the whole story. She had cancer, so then she was having chemotherapy for months. I think 6 months in total by the end of it. So not long before Christmas, she'd picked up some bug because obviously chemo destroys your immune system. So she'd picked up something and was taken back into hospital because of this. And it was quite funny. I was living in London at the time. I just got a text message from my mum. I'm going in an ambulance. Like she was quite excited. I'm going for a trip in an ambulance. She wasn't worried about, I mean, she could well have been worried about being back in hospital and all of that kind of stuff, but that was not how it was presented. She was presenting it. She's like, oh, the neighbours are going to be talking. Anyway, that's a tangent. So being a last minute person when it comes to Christmas, my mum had not organised anything. She hadn't bought any presents. She hadn't, I think, had she bought a turkey by that point? But didn't have a lot organised. And my dad cannot be trusted. So anyway, I was talking to my mum. I think we were texting, and she was saying, "Oh, about Christmas." And I was like, "It's all right. Don't worry about it." I think she must have had a turkey by that point because I said, we'll do Christmas dinner and then, presents and all that we can put off. We can do it another time. I said, well, we can just do it at Easter. We can do Eastmas, Christmas at Easter. So we did that, and then it just stuck. And then, and I think because I was in a relationship at the time, and my brothers then both had relationships and then got married and then had children, and trying to get, there's in-law families and there's our family, and trying to get everybody in the same space at Christmas was just, there was so many demands on people's time that we just kept it at, we'll do it at Easter, so people can go off to their in-laws at Christmas and we'll get together at Easter. And it's just always stuck. So Christmas isn't a huge thing with my family. I mean, obviously, like my brothers do Christmas with their family, it's just with my mum and dad family that we don't do it. So I don't have that. I don't have many people that I need to buy presents for at the moment. And I always think, like, people always say, oh, you can get all your presents in the January sale. I'm like, yeah, I know. Never remember. Like, it's always like the week before Easter. I'm like, damn it, I haven't got any presents. So yeah, it's generally a quiet one. I still have Christmas dinner with my parents, and then my elder brother's wife is a nurse, so if she's on shift, they'll come over. But it's pretty quiet generally. It's quite nice.
Not so much quieter now. Yeah. Many years ago, when the kids were little and would get overwrought, totally overwrought on Christmas Eve because Santa was coming, I started to have parties, just a couple of hours, no more than that. The kids would run riot, the parents had a few drinks, and it just diffused the stress. And it worked really well for a long, long time. And then it got to a point where it wasn't necessary anymore. And it was just like, oh, so Christmas can be a bit of a damp squib these days, I have to be honest. But I do like to go around a Christmas market. I like the sensation that people are coming together and having fun and, probably spending way more than they can afford on things, but that's a whole other story. But I do like to be in touch. I'm not a Christmas card writer. I don't do things like that. But I do like to send people little gifts. So I've done your soap making workshop. So this year, guess what people will be getting? There'll be lots of bars of soap flying through the post this year. Better hurry up and actually wrap them and send them, to be honest. I do love like to have the log burner going. I love fairy lights, brightening up the darkness. I love that. And as they say, bringing in greenery from the garden so that you've got a different smell in the house that you wouldn't have the rest of the year.
Yeah, I do. I like the build up to Christmas from I suppose, like a sensory point of view, and like getting into the spirit of it. Like, yeah. I agree with you, like Christmas Day itself can be a bit of an anticlimax. But I remember when I had my previous business and I'd do a lot of Christmas markets, I absolutely loved doing the markets because it was that kind of sense of, we're all in it together and, that camaraderie and community and all of that. And like, I really like that. And like you're saying with the twinkly lights and just adds to it all. And I am also one for bringing in greenery from the outside, bringing it indoors. And I've already noticed when I go for my morning walk, I'm like remembering where the good holly bushes are. It's like, ooh, and actually, it is a good year for holly berries this year.
It's
They're
a very
everywhere.
good year. Yeah, it really is. We have a holly hedge outside and we haven't had berries for about the last 5 years. It's got a lot this year.
Mm.
Don't know what that means, but it's got a lot this year. And other trees, hawthorns and that. There's one, it's not even our tree, it overhangs our garden. So many red berries. It's
Mm.
incredible. Incredible. It really is. I love it. I think one of the things that I enjoyed about going out to Christmas lunch, as it was, we went out, we did the early shift last year, was that whole thing of getting dressed up to go out for dinner, for that lunch. And going out to eat Christmas dinner has really changed over the years. We had a wonderful waitress with us who looked after us last year, and nothing was too much trouble for her. And when we went back to the same place for a meal later last Christmas, this year, get me dates right, I'm hopeless with dates. She remembered us, and that was a really nice sort of connection to have.
Mm.
We booked our meal already. It's already been booked and paid for well in advance. It seems like a lot of money, but just that whole, well, I'm not buying a turkey that never gets eaten. It's always been one of those things like, I must get a turkey. Get the smallest one you can find. And then no, everybody goes, don't really like turkey. No, I'm the only one that eats the sprouts, which I eat them all year round if I can get them. So that's nothing special. But going out and having a wonderful meal made, and it was a really good quality meal for us, and to just sit back, to be in no hurry, and no one sitting, usually me, sitting down with a red face, sweating, and then not enjoying the meal because they've looked at the food all day. That's marvelous. I love it. I
I was
just
going to
really,
say,
really enjoy it.
as the designated at-home chef, you get to be able to, actually enjoy the conversation and
Absolutely. And actually really appreciate the time and effort that other people are putting in on Christmas Day for us to sit back and enjoy ourselves. Really, really appreciate that, because I've made Christmas dinners for years. And if I never make another one again, that'll be marvelous. Thank you. We do have food traditions. Do you have food traditions in your house for Christmas? Is there anything you have that you only have at Christmas?
There used to be. We don't tend to so much anymore. So we used to always have a box of Turkish delight. I don't know how that became a Christmas thing.
I know.
It doesn't, but
I loved it. I used to love it. Turkish delight, all that icing sugar. One of my favourite things. Loved it. Don't have it anymore, but yeah, used to love
it. And things like that, which we don't tend to anymore. We always.
Do you ever have those lemon and orange slices? The candied lemon and orange
we
slices.
used to have those as well, yeah.
Nobody ate them in my house. This is when I was still in like my original home as a child, and there was always the last box to get opened, and no one liked them. Hilarious. Yeah, go on. What else do you have?
So my parents' neighbours still, and they used to when we were little. Sue, she makes a Christmas pudding that she always brings us one.
Excuse me.
But it doesn't put any alcohol in it, so that if she brings it kind of like early in the year for like next Christmas, So there's my dad putting like alcohol in it. When you like
Yeah,
stab it and just like let all the alcohol seep in.
yeah. Keep it moist. More
Yeah.
alcohol than cake by the end of the night.
Well, one year I made Christmas cake because my mum loves Christmas cake, but she's the only one that likes it. So I made one huge, 12-inch square type size. Like, there you go, mum. Clear all that. I think I did actually quarter it and give some of it away for present. Um, and I'd made this, and like you make it months in advance, and then you put it on the top shelf of the larder, and then just forget about it until you have to ice it. I completely forgot about it. And then, like, I think it might have been like Christmas Eve or something. I opened the cover, I was like, "What's that up there?" Like, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah. No, we have some traditions. So there's a Maltese dish. My husband's half Maltese, and his mum used to not just make this at Christmas, but throughout the year. And it's called timpana. And timpana translates as pasta pie. So you put pasta in a pie, quite literally. And she used to make a version that was full of different meats and yeah, mainly meat, different lamb and bacon and kidney and all of that. And years ago, when I ate meat, I did enjoy it. I remember my first time. Oh gosh, no, it's all come back to me. I remember my first time having it. I was over. I was down. Pete's parents live in Hillingdon, outside London, and going there and really enjoying this slice of timpana. And his mum's quite a feeder, so she barely eats anything herself, but everyone else must eat. Everyone. It's like the mantra of the Maltese housewife: "You will eat." And she said, "Oh, you've enjoyed that. You've eaten it all." And Pete looked at me and shook his head, and I was like, "Oh, it's delicious. Will you have some more?" He's shaking his head, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love some more." So I get another piece, twice the size. Like, oh, I see now why you were shaking your head. You was trying to be subtle. And I thought that was the meal. I thought that was it. No, then the
But just
Christmas dinner came on the table. Like, oh, I felt so ill. But since I started making one for us as a family, I make a more of a vegetarian, sometimes vegan one. And I use like mushrooms and kidney beans and some form of vegetable protein, something, depends what's in the supermarkets at the time. And we have that Christmas Eve. So this huge thing, and I mean huge, it's enormous, on a plate, big thing comes out, and I find a sprig of holly that's got red berries, and I stick that in the top before everyone dives into it all. And it's just a tradition. That's what happens on Christmas Eve, but it takes us until New Year to eat it all. Have it with pickles, cold, and stuff like that, hot from the oven on well, I don't eat the pastry or the pasta. I'd save myself a bit of the veggie filling. And Christmas Eve, that's it. We just eat that and then sit around watching the telly. Max and Kirsty, my eldest, and his wife, they're into games, so I'm sure there'll be a board game or two comes out. Um, what's it called? Trivial Pursuits is one of their favourites, and they have these different packs that are like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. Honestly, what my kids don't know about those two things, in awe of them. I'm like, no chat, I would never win a game with them. So it usually ends up Max and Evie, my son and daughter, like battling it out between them. Everyone else gives up because we can't answer the bloody questions. So it's quite funny. My eldest has quite the photographic memory, and facts just roll out of him. Rarely gets a question wrong, which seems a bit like, biased really to me. But yeah, I often end up with my knitting. I always make sure I've got some knitting in to do. I like that. I like cozy evenings, and really appreciating that time to just sit around and do nothing. Have the telly on if you want it. Now then, shall we talk about Christmas films?
Well,
Now,
I was just going to say about before we go into that Christmas dinner, there is one tradition in our house. It's an accidental tradition, um, and so my mum and dad have got a wood burning Aga Rayburn, one of those. So they're a bit of an art form to cook with them, especially when you have to use an oven. And it's a small one, so the oven isn't big. You can get a turkey in there and not much else.
Nothing else, no.
Um, so at some point during the day, because my dad does the cooking for Christmas dinner, like any like proper cooking in inverted commas, my dad does. My mum is not that way inclined. Um, so at some point, and this is going back years and years and years, like when we were little, we'd be in the sitting room, have the fire going, we'd be, I don't know, I think we would have had presents by then. So we'd be entertaining ourselves. At some point, my dad would come into the room and was like, I've lost my heat. That's like his thing. Like, because obviously you get the oven going and then you have to remember to keep feeding the fire, which at some point gets missed. So then the oven temperature goes down, and it's just, I think every year that has been his saying. Like, we joke that we're going to put on his gravestone, he finally lost his heat.
Oh, bless you, Dad. Could not imagine Pete starting cooking anything. He's not that sort of man.
But
No.
my dad's always been the cook of, like, takes thought cooking. Like, my mum can do egg chips and beans when we when we were little, that sort of thing, or fish fingers and chips or whatever. But anything more intricate, my dad my dad does.
Yeah. I mean, I like Christmas cooking. I like having different foods that work for the time of year. We always have, we will get onto films. I came across years and years ago in a magazine this like Christmas sweets, things that you hand make yourself,
Mm.
and out come the tiny petit four cases, and they all go in there. And it's been whittled right down now to just one. I just make one, and it's marzipan that has cherries in it. And
Mm.
you roll out the marzipan, you put a layer, one single like strand of cherries, any type of cherries you like, whether they're really sour, bitter cherries. If I've got those, I soak them in some alcohol. Or the maraschino cherries are my favourite. The only time I have a jar of maraschino cherries is at Christmas. And then you roll it up like you're rolling up a Swiss roll. And then you cut it into tiny, tiny slices. Not every slice has a whole cherry in it, doesn't matter. And then you lay them flat in their little case and just put an icing sugar coating over them. And that's the only sweet I make that from all of the ones I used to make many years ago. But we can't have Christmas without that. The
Mm.
marzipan's already in the cupboard, been in there for weeks. I use the white one, not the yellow one, because yellow marzipan and cherries doesn't like visually look as good. Um, so things like that. And we always buy mints, chocolate mints at Christmas. Um, and
After eights.
it used to be after eights. We don't tend to have those, what are they called? Matchmakers.
Mm.
There's peppermint sticks. We used to always like those. Don't tend to buy those as much now. But Elizabeth Shaw, well, I can't have Christmas without Elizabeth Shaw's round mints, chocolate mints. And the thing about them is, like Evie always says, why, when everyone else puts green wrappers around their mint chocolate, as Elizabeth Shaw put gold around hers? It's most disconcerting and off-putting. So Elizabeth Shaw, whoever you are, if you're listening, I don't want them to change that tradition. I like the fact that it's gold wrapper on
Mm.
mint when everyone else does green. But why is green associated with mint? I know mint leaves are green, but hey.
So are
Uh,
most herbs.
yeah. I don't think, stuffing. At some point, I will make a stuffing mix, but it's not just any old stuffing mix. It's the way my mum used to make it years ago. And you have to, so it's always a packet mix, and I tend to buy a gluten-free one now. And rather than just add water, you take a whole onion, chop it really finely, and then you put that into water and boil it until it's soft. So the water's oniony as well. And then you pour all that over the stuffing mix in a very sizable um, I'm going to say glass bowl because I use a glass bowl. That's what I can see in my head. Any bowl will do. And then you put butter in it and
Ooh.
you mix the butter through it as well. And then you leave it until you're ready to use it. And then you cook it in the oven so it's really heated up. Oh my goodness me. My mum couldn't cook, but she could make a stuffing. That was fine. So we always have one of those, even if we haven't got a turkey in the house. Oh, I don't know. And we'll roast potatoes because everyone likes potatoes. So sometimes it's just grabbing a potato and having some stuffing with it. Sounds horrendous. Only happens at Christmas. Awful. But there you go. Funny. Funny what you just start doing and don't stop doing.
So, talk to me about Christmas films.
Well, yeah, I don't know which channel it is on the telly, but oh my goodness, there's Christmas films on all the time. But these aren't just any old Christmas
Are they
films.
the Hallmark
These
ones?
are the ones you can name. These are the SH1T ones. Sometimes, like even now, as we're recording this, they're on 24/7. I think honestly don't know when they start and when they end. But if there's like I might be waiting for a program, it's like, oh look, an SH1T Christmas film. Oh, let's put that on. They are terrible. I
Are
have
they
to
the
watch
ones?
them
Are they the
because
ones that
everyone's got a Christmas jumper on.
all have the same storyline, and you can tell
Every
who's going to
single
end
one of
up
them.
with who?
Yeah, right from the start because they meet
Yeah.
at the start, and then they fall out, and something happens, and then something else happens, and then hey, there they are, right at the end, happily ever after.
All within a week.
Within a week. It's crazy, isn't it? It's like, where
Yeah.
are we? Jane Austen? This is madness. This doesn't actually happen. Yeah, and it's like every woman is like stick thin, but drinks the biggest cups of cocoa with tons of cream on, and it's like, and they have like 10, one after the other, and eat loads of cake and everything, but they're still like only 2 stone in weight. It's just like that's so unreal. That's not okay. Yeah. So yeah, I do find myself watching those sorts of films because it's just hilarious in the run up to Christmas. Usually American,
Oh yeah.
just in the run up to Christmas, they're so bad. But what you do often see is proper snow because of where they've been filmed,
Mm.
which we don't get, like 6 foot deep snow drifts. Well, we haven't had them in Chester in a long time.
I was going to say those were the days.
You must have had those where you live, lots of snow at once.
Yeah. We used to get quite a lot of snow. We do occasionally, not so much at Christmas because it tends to be a lot warmer at Christmas these days.
Yeah.
Probably more in the new year we get snow, which can get us snowed in, but that's more of the street that we live on is a hill and a bend. So, if it gets icy, I'm not driving down there. But we don't get it like we used to, the big drifts of snow.
No, no. More likely to rain, isn't it? I'm just
Mm.
happy if it's dry over Christmas. So I like to get in the garden during the day, just keep everything ticking over, making sure everything, the bulbs are okay, coming up all right. I haven't put too much mulch around everything, so they're struggling to come through. Oh, that's a bit deep. Let me move that. Yeah, and go from there.
Yeah, Mum and I tend to go for a walk on Christmas Day while my dad's cooking. Leave him in the kitchen. Don't get involved. Um, and Mum and I'll go for a walk. So, it's nicer if it's not raining.
Yeah. I rarely drink alcohol ever now. I haven't done for years. But Christmas is like still the time for a Baileys. Don't mind one
Ooh,
of those every now and then.
ooh, yeah.
Do like one occasionally, even in my hot chocolate maybe. But I just can't drink a lot anyway. I'll have a half glass of Prosecco with my Christmas dinner while we're out, and that's me done. It's like, that's it, done for the year, saved it up. There you go. I am such a lightweight with alcohol. Terrible.
So, other than your Christmas dinner outing, do you do much else in the way of social gatherings at Christmas?
Not so much these days, no, because both my parents died years ago, so we haven't got them to visit. My brother and sister do their own thing, and we'll see whether we can meet up with them. But my brother is a massive football fan, so there's often a lot of football between Christmas and
Mm,
those 2 weeks, New Year. So unfortunately, if he's watching football, we don't see him. So which is fine. I don't really mind that. But my sister lives further down south, so it depends what she's doing with her partner and what they decide to do. Sometimes they go abroad; they don't even
mm,
stay in the country. So, but I'm not one of those that insists that you must come to my house and sit round my table. It happens when it happens,
mm,
and I now recognize, we've worked a lot on being an introvert, that's more to do with being an introvert. I don't necessarily want my house full of people anymore.
mm,
I'm very happy to work my way through um, the food I like to eat, the crafts I like to do, the telly I like to watch. I'm becoming quite the hermit at certain times of the year. Um, and then it's just seeing what else is happening, because now it's not like a time where people stay indoors. There seems to be a lot goes on, especially around Chester. People run marathons and things like that. And it's like, this is crazy. When do people
mm,
stop? And we just have some quiet time. It's winter. Um,
mm.
and that
I
sounds
went,
like I'm a crotchety old woman. I'm not really, but I do worry that people overdo it at this,
yeah,
the winter, and Christmas can be a time of excess and overdoing things.
yeah, winter is a time for hibernation, isn't it? Even as humans, it's not just the animals out in the wild that do hibernate. I think humans have a tendency towards it as well. And if we go against that, is when we can get that feeling very unbalanced. Um, I went, so gosh, 5 years ago, maybe something like that. Like you, I'm terrible with dates. I have no concept of like time passed.
No.
But I'm gonna guess 5 years ago. A guy I was in a relationship with, his dad's family are originate in Scotland, and his dad's sister still lives up there, and I think quite a lot of them do. But his sister has what was described to me as a castle. Now, knowing Welsh castles as I do, we have quite a few quite substantial ones. I was expecting that sort of thing, perhaps without the ruins part of it. Turns out it's more of a fortified house. So, you say castle, I say house. Um, anyway, they run it as, I think they do weddings there and possibly it's a hotel. Anyway, she was inviting the whole family for Christmas and they were getting a chef in so that she could do like the hosting, didn't have to worry about the cooking and all of that. So we went up there and there was about 35 people on Christmas Day. And I was just like, that's a lot of people. And we were staying, obviously, because we'd come from down this way, long way to go for one day. And I think there was only us and my partner's like close family that were actually staying. I think the others were quite, local enough to just come for the day. So we had a room, obviously, and every now and again I'd just like they'd be in the drawing room and talking. And I just like just surreptitiously like edge my way out the door and then like go and sit in the room for a bit and read and stuff. I'm like, I cannot people that much. And then I'd have like half an hour or whatever, reset myself, and then like, oh, I can go back down and I can re-enter the sociableness. But yeah, that was full on, and especially because like most of these people, in fact, all except my partner's sister and parents, I had not met any of them before. So it was full on. Wow. It was fun though. It was an experience. And I, have the whole I've had Christmas in a Scottish castle. Castle in inverted commas.
You've downgraded it because it's not as good as the Welsh one. I think the other thing that's happened for us over the years is our daughter works in theatre. And so Christmas is the time when there's a lot of shows. So she only
Mm,
has Christmas Day off. And so we work around a lot around her and her timings. So that's changed over the years. She's not an actor or anything, she works backstage. And there's a lot to do to make sure the
Mm.
shows go off well so that everyone can enjoy them who's paying to go and watch. Um, Occasionally we go to a pantomime or something like that, but yeah, I'd like to be at home at Christmas. I like to snuggle in and really appreciate my surroundings from that point of view. But I also get why people would just go, I'm not doing Christmas, I'm off. I'm going somewhere else. We have a friend,
Yeah,
don't we, Jan, who did it for years until COVID.
I think my younger brother actually is he might be going away on Boxing Day this year, but I think next year they've already like they go on holidays like 3 times a year, and they've already booked next Christmas, and they're going. I think they're going away on Christmas Eve next year, so they are away for Christmas.
Mm,
And I think they like both of them, him and his wife, are not that fussed about like Christmas dinner and all of that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Um, so they're just going away.
Well, I
But
wonder, we haven't mentioned her for a while, my friend Sarah, all one word. I wonder what her Christmas is going to be like because she's over on an island off Papua New Guinea. So it'll be interesting to see how the inhabitants of where she is in Buin on Bougainville, what goes on there. So that'll be different. I don't know what
mm,
the temperature will be, but it's very hot. I know that. Don't think anyone's going to be slaving over a Christmas dinner in the way we will. Here, well, a lot of people will. I'm not slaving anymore. Yeah, so I'll be interested to find out what goes on there. I'll wait for her
mm.
photographs of everything of Christmas Day. And at some point in going forward in the future, I'll share with you what she shares with me.
Yeah, thinking about Christmas dinners in hot weather, we did have 2 or 3 years ago. No, that would have been COVID. Before COVID, lost track of time. Um, I think that like the whole COVID thing was like a time sink, wasn't it? It's a bit of a black hole. Not sure where that time went. Anyway, before COVID, we had during Christmas at Easter, we had a like huge heat wave at Easter one year, and, and we've got my dad's making Christmas dinner, and my parents' house, the cooker also runs the central heating. So if you've got the cooker going to, get the oven going, then the central heating will be going as well. So we're all there like in shorts and t-shirts and sandals, like, oh, baking, but eating Christmas dinner.
Yeah, sound like you'd enjoy an Aussie Christmas dinner. Big turkey on the barbie. Yeah, Christmas. It can be fraught as well, can't it? With all these people that come together and don't like each other.
Mm,
Oh dear. Yeah, we don't have that. I've just stopped all of that. That's not happening. No, no, no. I just
yeah,
had, I just had a vision of perhaps, I don't know, maybe it's the royal family. Do you remember that program where they're all
yeah.
sat around with paper hats on and not really liking each other? It might have been that program, might have been something else. I don't know. Can't remember.
I think for some people, Christmas can be a very stressful time, can't it? With the whole
Yeah,
keeping up appearances, you get all these messages like thrown at us about what Christmas should look like in inverted commas, and all these women's magazines and how to create the perfect Christmas dinner, and how to make your guests feel welcome, and that happy families, we all should be happy at Christmas, and it can be very stressful to feel like you need to create that
yeah,
for the people around you. And also, like you say, if families do not get on, why would you add that stress to your life? But my partner now and his daughter, so they his wife died a couple of years ago, and last year, last Christmas, I think his daughter got a bit upset on Christmas Day because he hadn't bought like the new knickers and the mum type presents that would have come, and she got quite upset about that. And like this year, he was quite worried about like what to do for Christmas with, his daughter. She's 18, and she sees on Instagram, like, her friends are having this happy family type Christmas. It was funny. He was telling me that one of her friends put on this, had family round at the house and they were doing shots, and this was the photo that went on Instagram. And then he was talking to this friend's dad, and the dad was like, "Do you know what happened? Like 5 minutes after that photo was taken, the police were called." I'm like, "Yeah, you don't believe what you see on Instagram. They're just the highlights."
Yeah.
But yeah, he was wondering what to do for his daughter because she opens her presents and then it's anticlimax. There's nothing else then, is there? And I was like, well, what if you do it like, make it something different that none of her friends are doing? So I said, why don't you do like a treasure hunt where she has to find her presents? So when I first started thinking about it, I was like, well, you could just do it around the house. I was like, actually, you could do it around like your friends' houses, so that you'd give her a clue and then she'd have to work out where it was. And she's just passed her driving test, so she can drive to these places. And so there's all of this going on now. So
Oh, you've lit the blue touch paper.
yeah.
You have
So
a partner who's an extrovert, so he's going to go for stuff like that, isn't he?
exactly. It's like
Yeah.
he's the sort of person who will go around visiting at Christmas. So I was like, you can kill two birds with one stone. And I was like, it's something that none of her friends will be doing. They'll be doing that at home or maybe going out for Christmas dinner. So make it something that's just hers.
Yeah. You have to start new traditions when
Mm,
family dynamics change. And yeah, rather than think everything's going to stay exactly the same, there are things you can thread through. So like we will always make timpana and my
mm,
daughter makes it now. And if Max and Kirst weren't coming to us, they'd make their own. So it's like being passed down. And because we don't make it throughout the year, it's a special thing to have at Christmas. We occasionally do it at Easter as well. But like twice a year, we have this
mm.
dish that is a nod to their Maltese heritage, um, rather than just being an English type celebration. I don't think it's specifically a Maltese thing at Christmas. It's just that's the first time I had it. And so I carried on making it as a Christmas thing. And like marzipan and cherries, Max is always like, "Have you made my marzipan?" He thinks they're his, they're not yours. They're for everyone, but he eats the majority of it. You got
And
my
I think
marzipan
that's
and
the
cherries.
thing, like Rich was trying to make up for her mum not being there
Yeah,
by doing this, but in the same,
yeah,
like creating the same situation, but then it's kind of more obvious that the mum's not there. So I was like, just do something different. So whether he actually pulls it off, I don't know. It
I
is
wait to
still in his
hear.
mind. He's still thinking about it. He's still talking about it. So I will update you as to whether this actually goes ahead.
Anything else about the festivities?
I don't think so. From me, it's like for me, it's a quiet one. I'm just happy to go out for a walk and then have some nice food and then sit by the fire. It's like perfect day.
Yeah, which country is it where I think it's a Christmas Eve? I think it's like Denmark type places where they
To
exchange
give a
books
book.
and they just sit and read on Christmas Eve
It
and
sounds brilliant.
in front of a fire with a blanket. And I'm like, yeah, when am I going there to do that then? Yeah. Um,
Well, talking about Christmas Eve and gifts, like I'm probably, expressing an unpopular opinion right now, but Christmas Eve boxes, when did they become a thing? Like how, what? I don't get it.
no, no, we don't.
That's
We
just
don't. No,
America
Christmas.
coming
Well,
over
I'm not
here.
someone who ever took Christmas presents off kids and like strung it out between Christmas Day and New Year's Day either. That I think is just cruel.
Yeah, nope, not heard of that one.
It's Christmas Day or nothing. End of.
Yeah. It's like, from what I gather, a Christmas Eve box has like new pajamas and maybe a book and stuff in there. I'm like,
Yeah, but you
but
get them
then
the next day or
yeah,
on in
they
the
just come
morning.
in the Christmas Day stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, you're making more work for yourself, people.
Oh, advent calendars. Have you ever done or do you do an advent calendar?
We used to when we were little. We
Mm.
used to have like you know, when they were just your bog standard, you opened a door and you got a chocolate.
Oh my, you were well off. You got a chocolate. In my day, it was just a picture. Open the door for the picture. Yeah.
But these days, goodness me, there's some extravagant things. I know Rich last year for his daughter bought a gin one
Mm.
where it had like a little miniature bottle of gin each day. It's like, bloody hell, how much does that set you back? Quite an industry these days, aren't they?
Get a jewelry one and things like that, and like really expensive um, face products, all of that
Mm.
sort of thing.
Yeah, I was in where was I recently? In Boots, and they had a Liz Earle one. I didn't notice the price, but I dare say it wasn't your pound one from the spa for your
No,
chocolate.
hundreds of pounds, hundreds. Yeah, jewelry ones. Oh, all sorts of product ones there are now. Ones for the dog.
Oh,
The
goodness
first year
me.
we had Jess had an advent calendar. I think that cemented our relationship, taking a food from an advent calendar every single day that was different to what she normally had. I don't think we got her one last year. I can't remember. But I've ordered as this is being recorded, um, a little embroidery kit where you every day for 24 days you embroider a little something to do with Christmas, a little advent
Oh,
embroidery kit. So it's like no one else might want to do the Advent era with me, but I like it. So I'll sit in my little craft corner, do my little thing every day. The countdown to Santa coming. Yeah.
so just goes to show whatever, you don't have to put up with just chocolates or just a picture anymore. If you've got
No.
interest in other hobbies, you can probably
Yes.
get an advent calendar for it.
You can these days. You really can. One year I put an advent calendar, wasn't that long ago, really, before COVID, of crystals. So we had these boxes where you could refill them, these advent
Mm.
calendars, and hers was the last one I stopped doing. And she was like, "I think I'm too old for this now." I was like, "Okay, fine." I just kept it going until she told me she didn't want it anymore. But one of them was I put a crystal for every day of Advent, which turned out to be quite expensive by the time I bought them all and wrapped them and everything. And then the next year I saw that that was a thing that you could buy them. It's like, oh,
Oh,
yes, I started them.
you're ahead of your time, Denise.
I just didn't make it as a money making venture.
Mm.
So yeah, she's still got all her crystals. They're in a little plate upstairs in her room. They're lovely. Didn't realise there were so many. I could have done 2 advent
I was
calendars.
going to
Oh
say,
my word, what to
you could,
choose? It got to be one of those things that I had to come up with something different every year. I did buy her one year. It was all different tea bags.
oh yeah, my brother's got me one of those once. Most of them I didn't like because they had actual like tea plant tea in, and
Yeah,
I don't drink that. I drink herbal infusions,
yeah.
but there were some nice ones in it.
It was the year I knitted. Why did I do that? I think I was ill and I just wanted something to knit, and I had all this different wool, and I found this gold, like looked like tinsel, but it was wool, really fluffy gold stuff. And so I knitted ringed garlands, where you used to put sticky tape together. And I knitted people those, gave them as gifts. There was the year I bought Christmas tea towels and wrapped everybody's present in a Christmas tea towel rather than wrapping paper. I was being very ecological. And I still like that idea now. It's got a name in Japan where you wrap things in fabric rather than
Yeah.
paper. So I was doing that one year. There was a year where the tea towels were particularly good, I remember. And then other years, Christmas tea towels are the pits. They're just like, we thought that was a good design. Yeah, love a Christmas tea towel, all for it.
My mum has I don't know if she has a towel, but there's tea towels that only come out on Christmas Day and a tablecloth as well that
Yeah,
comes out on Christmas Day.
got loads of
And it's
those.
ones that we've had. Like I remember from when we were little. Same ones, still going.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Something else that has just come to my mind is like my mum and dad's Christmas tree still has all of the stuff that we made when we were little in school, like the eggshell with cotton wool stuck to it as the beard and the little red paper hat. I don't know how they have survived this long.
No, I was
Like
just thinking
they're
that.
literally empty eggshells.
Yeah, recently, the last 2 or 3 Christmases, I've had to start throwing things like that away. Yeah, they're just like they're past their best. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I did have to get rid of some weird things that were made, all
A
stuff
30, what,
together.
a 35-year-old eggshell is past its best.
Yeah,
Probably yes.
yeah, there was all sorts of stuff made at school, and I did keep it for a long time. But no, some things had to go. It was just sad but true. Had to go. Like, oh no. But anyway, they get replaced with other things eventually,
Mm,
and that's fine. Christmas is coming. Soon be here, people.
it will soon be here.
By the time this goes out, will be 10 days to Christmas Day. So no panic. Don't worry about it. It's just the year that I got in my head, it was like making a Christmas dinner. No, a Sunday roast on Christmas Day for Christmas dinner. I was like, oh, I can do a Sunday roast. That's easy. And that's how I looked at it then. It was like,
Mm,
that's fine. And you can prep so much in advance and just get everyone else helping. I used to think I had to do it all myself. Stupid thing to do. No, get people helping. People can lay the table. Doesn't matter if it doesn't look like it does in the magazines.
mm,
Not a problem. Just do it.
yeah. I was looking through old Christmas magazines recently, country living ones, and like their Christmas tables have these huge like displays, like garlands down the middle, and there's candles, and there's vases of berries all down the middle. I was like, how does anybody find a place for their plates to go?
Yeah.
You'd have to have a huge table.
And you've got like 6 or 7 different glasses for every
Yeah.
and all the different cutlery, like we're in some stately home and you've all got servants. No, really easy on yourself. Yeah, there was time when, because again, I don't do this anymore, that I would buy my carrots and my sprouts and whatever other veg and like beginning of December and have it all in the freezer. So all done, all prepared. And I've always, even now, if we were going to have any form of food, I would actually prepare it on Christmas Eve and not on
Mm,
Christmas Day anymore. The only thing that I used to make on Christmas Day was actually have to cook the turkey. Bloody hell,
mm.
cook the turkey. Hours in the oven. And then no bugger wanted to eat it. Like, great. Well, why have we done that? Because it's tradition. Like, yeah, well,
I must admit, my dad's never made them, but when I went to the Scottish castle for Christmas, and when I've been to other, because that's the thing about Christmas, like my brothers can go off and be with their families, I can go off and be with my partner's family. Um, so when I've been to other people's houses for Christmas and they've done a nut roast, I do like a nut roast. I know, like it's kind of looked down upon, but like it's the veggie thing, like, oh, they have a nut roast and isn't that dull? Actually,
no, it's nice.
they're quite nice.
Yeah. It's like a very, very posh stuffing, I think.
Mm. Yeah, the one I had when we were in Scotland, there was sweet potato in there somewhere. Not entirely sure what was going on, but it was delicious.
I think the thing with the nut roast is you can literally put any mixture you like together.
Mm.
So your nut roast never comes out the same 2 years running, is what I found. Amazing what you can do with nuts and veg and seeds and
Mm.
beans and stuff like that. Anywho, we have chatted on.
We
Christmas
have.
is coming. I hope your goose, your turkey, your chicken, your 3-bird roast, whatever it is you're having, your beef, your nut roast, fish, even. People have fish. I'm having fish Christmas Day. Goes really, really, really well. And everyone gets on. You watch all the Christmas films you like. You drink, make merry, do whatever it is that works for you.
Or sit in a corner by the fire with a blanket and a book.
And a good book, I know. That's my preference.
Whatever works.
Whatever works for you, people, do it. And we will be back with you in the new year. Oh my
Yes.
goodness, 2024. Can't believe it. I don't know where this year has gone. Blown by. And yeah, make merry, be kind, and we'll speak to you again very, very soon. Bye.
Bye bye.